What's up, guys? Mike Thomas, aka the young Trishula, aka the young world's competitor, aka the young they unbanned Red Rose Dragon. What the hell, man? They gotta stop doing this. They gotta stop giving me dragon cards, because I will not do fair things with them. I don't know if you can tell from like the soullessness in my voice, but like, why did they do this? Why did they let me have this power? But anyway, I wasn't gonna make a banlist reaction, so this isn't a banlist reaction. But I figured I'd take a break from Worlds testing to just show you, and I guess Konami, why you don't give me dragon cards. Anyway, there's like 4 combos in this video. They get progressively better as time goes on. And then there's like a bonus one in there too. Yeah. Oh yeah, before I forget, check out the Twitch. We haven't streamed in a little bit because of Worlds testing. But after Worlds, we're going to be back to streaming almost every day. Probably going to be doing the DC Cup climb again, because I hate myself. So check us out for that. Links in the description. Also, while you're down in the description, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, check out untapped.gg. Download the deck tracker for Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. Forgot to mention this last time. Yeah, great program. Love it. Stand by it. Check it out. Anyway, I want to get back to testing, so we're going into the video. Okay, so this is combo number 1. Most of these combos are going to be Red Rose plus Rite of Army, so just to show that these 2 cards together are a self-contained combo that pretty much do whatever you want in Dragon Link. Like, this is like a god hand, effectively. Like just these 2 cards get me to everything in my deck. And I'll show you how. It's kind of fun. Also, just FYI, I'm gonna say this now because I have a sneaky suspicion that a lot of people like just skim through the video to just like see what the end boards are. So this is gonna be our little secret. If you're watching this video and you watch it all the way through, and pay attention to the sequencing, because the sequencing for this deck is a nightmare. This deck is a sequencing nightmare, so make sure you watch closely. But also, every single one of these replays is illegal, and I realized this in a previous recording. I didn't want to remake the replays. So, instead, you and I are going to know that anytime you see Psyframe Driver touch the board, that just needs to be any vanilla level 6 dragon monster. It can be Luster Dragon, it could be, or Luster Dragon number 2, I think. It could be Cave Dragon. It could be any of those. Like, I don't care. Just pick one. But you and I know that. They're not gonna know that. If they just steal the deck list that's at the end of this video, they're gonna oopsie poops, and they're gonna cheat. They're gonna cheat if they watch with the sound off. So you now know that you're not gonna cheat. So pay attention to that. Anyway, back to the video. So we get here. Pretty much all these combos are going to start about the same way. We're going to go, you know, right into Fateful Token, normal summon, add this, pitch it, get Water Girl, not the Griffin, surprisingly. Get Water Girl, re-equip this. It's going to go to the graveyard. Who cares? And then we're going to synchro for Shooting Riser Dragon. This is important. So if you recall, there were some cards that we got back a while ago that we didn't really have a good way to abuse yet in Dragon Link. We now do. And the way that we're going to do that is by dumping Artifact Lancia with Shooting Riser Dragon. And at the same time, you know, we just get Roxrose out for free. Thank you, Red Rose Dragon. So if you can see from this setup, this is the basic setup. This is the basic premise of all these combos, is that we're getting to a board state where we have 2 dragons, which is Roxrose plus Basil, as well as a 3 and a 2. What does a 3 and a 2 do? Makes Ib Justiciar, because they gave us this card back for some reason. And I think I made a video on this when this came out. Or came off the ban list a while ago, but the problem was we didn't really have a good way to like get into this consistently, like through engine, like while like developing the board, like we'd have to do something silly, like go like normal summon black metal, which by itself is already full combo, and then use like quick launch to like make this, and it just didn't feel worth it, right? But now we have an easy way to get into this, because just using the red rose plus a token gets us both Ib Justiciar and 2 dragons. And you know what happens when you have Ib Justiciar and 2 dragons? You get to search World Legacy Guard Dragon. If you don't know what this card does, I've talked about this card a lot. It summons back any level 4 or lower dragon in the grave, and then you can move a dragon later. The Rose Dragons, 2 dragons, what do they get you to? Well, those get you to Romulus. What does Romulus get you to? It gets you to Dragon Ravine. This card says any dragon can go to the graveyard. I think you're seeing where this might be going. So we're going to get a free discard for this card by banishing our Water Enchantress. If you didn't start with Water Enchantress, oh no, I guess you have to discard a card. But we're just going to send Black Metal now. And we're going to get Black Metal back. And if you watched the last video that I posted, Black Metal plus World Legacy Guard Dragon gets very disgusting very quickly. Like, this is not fair. Like, this stuff is not fair. This should not be allowed. This is evil. This is very evil. And now we just have an easy way to tutor that, like, whenever we want it. So this is kind of like the most vanilla way I can do this combo, I think. I think most people will just go like Striker first into boot, summon out Red MD or something, you know, get back your Black Metal, make a Pisty, get like Meteor Dragon or something, and then we scoot over the Pisty with the Guard Dragon. It gets back our Black Metal, and then we can go for Seals, and then we drop our Meteor Dragon onto the board by dumping our definitely not Driver. That's definitely a Luster Dragon. Absolutely. And then we make IP. And this is really nice because this is a nice, easy, kind of low to the ground board. Oh yeah, I forgot that this is in our deck. We also search Full Metal Dragon. If you don't know what this is an unreleased card, but I think it comes out in the next base set, I think. And the Metamorph cards on the whole are pretty bad, but in Dragon Link, they're surprisingly good because Full Metal is searchable. You get to place Metamorph from your deck, and then Metamorph can tribute off a dragon to turn into an Omni Negate, which is really nice. So we get our Savage back. So like off of 2 cards, this is effectively Seals IP Savage Dragon, and you'll see I do that here. And then we float the Ib Justiciar, which is you know, link material for the Ib or for the IP. This is probably like this is the simplest board, but it's also probably the best because if they nib you at any point, they trigger the Seals, they trigger the Ib Justicar. You get to float into a card from deck, which also then, or you float into 2 dragons from deck. You get a token. You can summon back Driver. You get a lot, so it's probably not in their best interest to nib you, because then you just get to full combo or play from there, and it's very funny. But yeah, so this is a really safe, very sticky board. It's good into stuff like Dark Ruler Droplet because we're splitting it up with the Metamorph. That's kind of like option number 1. Let's check out option number 2. Let's say we want to combo a little bit heavier. We're going to start exactly the same way. Like, we're going to change nothing about how we started. So I'm going to fast forward through this. While we're chilling here, you can consider dropping a like or a comment on the video. Tell me if the music's getting to you, because it's getting to me. But we're already locked in. Oh god, I've had to record this video like 5 times. Really encapsulates how I'm feeling. But anyway, so we're going to get to this point again. And now we've assembled the basic premise of the combo, is that we are going to dump any level 4 or lower dragon that we want from our deck to the graveyard, and then we World Legacy Guard Dragon and get it back. And the best target, of course, being Black Metal. This time we're going to do things a little bit differently. This is where it gets interesting. So we're going to go for Pisty first and search Meteor first. Why do you do that? Well, like I mentioned before, this deck is a sequencing nightmare. So this is the way the sequencing works out. We'll send definitely not driver. And we're going to get here. We're going to link off into our seals. And before we make the seals, that's probably where it looks like the best spot to nib us is, but that's actually probably the worst spot that they can nib us for them. Because again, it would trigger Justice Sire, it would trigger Black Metal. You haven't gone through your Red MD yet. So again, you're really nib resistant, even if it doesn't feel like this deck like is resistant to nib like at all. This deck is really resistant to nib. So we're then going to synchro for Coral Dragon. So this is where you can start really popping off with this deck, is if you want to weave in like something like Coral Dragon into this deck, you can, to keep this deck as a self-contained combo. You could also just like say that this isn't worth it and just like go for a Bestial instead in its place and just like link off into random stuff. But I think it works out nicely to have the Coral Dragon. So you go into the Coral Dragon, you summon out the Guard Dragon, and you get your Red MD. Then you're going to go into Striker, get your Boot Sector, and then you're going to banish the Striker Dragon. It's important that you banish Striker, not Pisty, because we are going to need the body later. Like I said, this deck is a sequencing nightmare. And now we are going to use the Red MD to get back the Meteor Dragon. This is why we sequenced in this way specifically, is so that now we have 2 level 6 dragons on the field we can overlay into King Atum. King Atum effect can activate and get Absoraptor from our deck. We go into Triple Burst using our 3 dragons that are not level 10. I'm going to scoot him over. You didn't see that. And then I'm going to activate Boot Sector, summon out the Tracer that we searched. Tracer will pop the World Legacy Guard Dragon. It's done its job. It doesn't need to be there anymore. And then we are going to Guard Dragon, summon back the definitely not driver, definitely a dragon type vanilla that we're definitely playing, and I did not mess up the combo when I made it. And we're going to synchro for Dispatter. Dispatter will summon the Striker Dragon back. This is why we need to banish the Striker, not the Pisty, because as you can see, these are not summonable back. And then we will make our Borland Dragon. Borland Dragon can activate, and it can negate one of these 2 guys, who are then going to be overlaid into Verdress, which, if you haven't played against Ubel, this is a very crazy card. It is a Omni Negate that also pops cards. So very good card. And as you can see, we're kind of like 1 body short. We also didn't get to the full metal Omni Negate. So this is like an okay board, but like this is a way to show you that you can still go for the classic like Seals Borland Omni Negate board that Dragon Link was known for doing. You get 3 cards in your hand. These could be extenders or whatever. Let's say you had an extender, you can drop it on the board, and you can make IP Masquerena. So pretty solid. You know, I don't think anything's playing through that. But yeah, but I wasn't satisfied with this, so I wanted to push this a little bit further. So I did. And as I mentioned, you know, we could have an extender. I picked a Bestial. I picked the worst Bestial specifically because I wanted to know what would happen if we picked literally the only Bestial that doesn't gain us extra advantage, and see if that would change anything, if that would make things better. And would you believe it does? So we're going to go for right, normal, effect, search, blah blah blah. We're gonna fast forward through this. You guys know where this is going. We're gonna assemble the basic premise of the combo. Yada yada yada. We get to 2 dragons, Romulus. Okay, perfect. We're here. Beautiful. Grab right of our Emiser. We're going to dump Black Metal, get it back. You guys have seen this part before. Again, we're going to go for the Pisty first, get Meteor. And I think the sequencing needs to be in this way. I think you might actually be able to go Red MD first here. Don't quote me on that one, though. You guys can like mess around with the sequencing on this one if you want. But like I said, this deck's a sequencing nightmare. So we're going to summon the Meteor Dragon and send our definitely not driver. Go into Seals, and once again, you know, nib resistant. If they nib us, we go plus 1 billion. And we get to keep playing because we haven't been through our extra deck yet, so very nice. And now, once again, we're going to synchro over the Coral Dragon and summon out the Guard Dragon. And then get our Red MD. Now, you might be wondering, well, why did you add the Bestial? This looks like exactly the same combo as before. I thought that there might have been something that you could do where you could summon out the Juris Worm and then go into a Tom and yada, yada, yada. But I wasn't satisfied with that either. So I was like, what if I got the draw? So we're going to get the draw. We're going to get the draw because I found out that, like, you can get a lot. All I was thinking about is that this would, the Red MD would give me back my black metal or something, you know, and I'd get that extra card there. And that's how I'd get my full metal. But it turns out you can do even better. So you'll trigger, you get a free draw, and then you banish your triple burst for the Red MD. Red MD gets back the Coral Dragon, and then we Juris Worm banish, like the Lancia or anything. And then you go for a Tum. A Tum is actually going to summon out the Rocket Tracer because we don't already have the Boot Sector, so no reason to go for Absurator yet. And then we're going to pop the Dragon Ravine for the Rocket Recharger. You can probably actually pop the Guard Dragon. I think about it. Yeah, you can totally pop the Guard Dragon. So again, fun little fact. This is why you watch the whole video, chat. This is why you watch the whole video. Is that I tell you things. I see my own mistakes and I inform you of them. So you can definitely keep the Dragon Ravine up in this combo. You don't need this anymore. But yeah, so you get here, you summon out the Rocket Recharger, and then you strike a Dragon effect. Pop yourself, add the Rocket Recharger effect to get back the black metal. And now we can go for World Dog for our Definitely Not Driver. And then we will synchro for the Dispatter. Dispatter effect gets back our banished triple burst. So getting back the resource that we had already gotten kind of wasted. And then we go for Borland. Borland. Oh, well, I keep forgetting this card's even in our deck. This card has too many cards it can add. So we get our full metal, and then we don't overlay. I guess I was even confused like when I was recording this or like making this replay because this deck again is a nightmare. Borland effect can get you out your Rocket Tracer if you want, and then you can go for Vardras. So once again, we have the same basic setup that we did before. This time we have an extra card in our hand, and now we also get the Metal Morph, just because we drew one Bestial. And keep in mind, I specifically gave us the worst Bestial for this. If it was Magnemite, we'd have 5 cards in our hand. If it was Saronir, there would probably be a Regain on my field somewhere. I'm sure we could work it into the combo somewhere. So, yeah, that's about like where we get to. And again, like you might be saying, oh, well, you can't use Enhanced Metal Morph to get your dragon out. Well, we don't want to get the dragon out immediately because Dark Ruler exists. That's the cool part about this deck is that they Dark Ruler us. We really don't care. We still end on an Omni Negate, plus 4 to 5 cards. So we have Seal's effect. Let's say they do Dark Ruler us. You know, we Seal's effect, trigger its effect, summon Magnemite for end phase, and then we can sack it off. It's like, hey, look, an Omni Negate again. Good luck. Nice Dark Ruler, dude. So, very cool. Very, very fun. I could also lie to you guys and say that, like, we're putting the Tracer on the board because we play the level 7 Rocket guy that this guy can summon. You could play that if you want. It could be cool to like make it so that you always get to this, even if this gets ashed. That'd be neat. But we don't. I would be lying saying that. Yeah, I'd be lying if I told you that we did that. We don't. But yeah, so that's like the good board. And again, this was off of the same 2 cards as always, and then I weaved in a Bestial to add an additional draw and get the full metal. But you still get Seals, Omni Negate, Borland off of just the 2-card combo. You could also make a really sticky Resilient board off of the same 2-card combo that doesn't go for as much of a blowout. I think both are valid. It's up to you to decide which is better. And then I did mention that there'd be a bonus combo. This video is going on longer than I thought it would, so sorry. We'll go right into the token, and I'll summon Apple Dragon this time. So this isn't a combo with the Red Rose. This is actually with the 100 Apple Dragon. This is one of my favorite cards. And this is another card that you can run in this deck to, again, set up the Ib Justiciar combos. And once again, you know, you can get your World Legacy Guard Dragon for free, and you get your Rite of Armiser for free. And then we get our free token as well. Lots of free cards in this deck from the Ring of Worm. And the fun thing about the token from this card is that it can either be a tuner or a non-tuner optionally, which lets us go once again into Shooting Riser. And this time we actually send Rocket Tracer. This is assuming that, like, you don't have anything else. Like, if you have access to this tracer, otherwise, like, you're not going to send it. But it is cool to note that Shooting Riser only stops you from using the effects of monsters with the same name as the sent monster. It doesn't stop you from summoning the sent monster. This is kind of like a collective gaslight effect, I think a lot of us have, that because this card sent Fairy Tale Snow so often, that a lot of us thought that, like, you couldn't summon back the card that you dump. You can, it just can't use its effects. So we can dump the Tracer here, and then we get our dog out. And hey, look, the dog is also a dragon. I think you see where this is going. we got to the thing. Oh, look, we did it. We got to the thing again. It's World Legacy Guard Dragon plus Dragon Ravine. Surely this is fair and balanced. So we get to tutor our black metal now. And this time I went for the Striker first for the boot sector. Again, sequencing Hell deck. We do this because now Striker Dragon's going to do something you almost never see. It's going to pop a random card just to add the Rocket Tracer to our hand. So we're going to trade out our vanilla for a Rocket Tracer. Honestly, not too bad of a trade-off. So it's a soft search for Rocket Tracer. Sure, we can't use Rocket Tracer to search or to summon from deck, unfortunately, but we don't really need it to. We just need it to be a level 4 tuner. So that's going to do its job. Red MD comes out, summons back the black metal again. We're going to get our Pisty onto the board, get Meteor Dragon. We're going to scoot our Pisty over and summon back the black metal. And then we're going to make seals. We can then summon our Meteor Dragon, sending our Definitely Not Driver. We can then play our Boot Sector and summon the Tracer, summon back the Definitely Not Driver with the Guard Dog, and go for the Dispatter. Dispatter effect can get back our Ringo Worm because it does banish itself. So you will be able to get the free token again next turn if you do Synchro again next turn, which is nice. Nice little resource loop. And then you make Vardross, and then you can go for the IP, and we get our full metal into the enhanced Metal Morph. And we do have a dragon floating that can be sacked off for Metal Morph. So this is, once again, very similar to the first end board, but just with different cards. So it's not just Red Rose that makes this deck come together. There are quite a few cards that all kind of synergize with the big mess of ideas that is going on in this video. And yeah, I think that this is a cool way to play dragons. Is this like the optimal way to play dragons? I don't know. I think it's cool, though. I think it's cool. I think that playing in this way does give you really solid end boards that do end on multiple Omni Negates plus varied disruption in a format where they just got rid of all of the Omni Negates. So thanks, Konami. Welcome back, Dragon Link. I've missed you greatly. Anyway, this was the deck list that I was messing around with. Don't play driver. Oops. It's a sample deck list, so you probably wouldn't play Gamma. This would just be like a real hand trap, maybe a second Lancia or something. Yeah. I don't know. It's a pile. Figure it out. Subscribe.